To understand Forex, we gotta go way the fuck back. I'm not talking about banks, Wall Street, or hedge funds. I'm talking about a time before money even existed. A time when value was something you could actually hold in your hands. Imagine this. You're living in a world with no credit cards, no banks, no stock markets, just pure survival. You've got a cow, I've got wheat. We make a trade. And now we both get to eat. Simple. No middleman, no interest rates, no inflation, just value for value. But here's the problem. Bartering is a nightmare. What if I need wheat, but you've only got fish? Now I gotta find someone who wants fish so I can trade for that wheat. That's a logistical mess. And what if your cow dies before I can trade it for something else? Value just gone. Humans, being the problem-solving maniacs that we are, needed a better system. So we did what we always do. We find a shortcut. Gold, silver, salt, spices, extra shit that people actually value. These became the first universal currencies. If you hold gold, you had power. If you had silver, you could trade anything. And unlike a cow that could die or wheat that could rot, these metals lasted forever. This was the first real evolution of money. But here's where the story takes a turn. Because the moment humans found a way to store value, the people in power found a way to manipulate it. The birth of banks, a brilliant lie. Now, lugging around a sack of gold wasn't exactly convenient. You don't want to walk into a market with 20 pounds of gold in your pockets. So the first bank showed up and said, yo, give us your gold, we'll hold on to it for you, and in return, we'll give you a piece of paper that says you own this much gold. And just like that, paper money was born. Sounds smart, right? It made trading easier, it made businesses grow faster, and it gave people a sense of security. You didn't have to worry about getting robbed for your gold. You had a banknote that proved you're wealthy. But here's the catch. The moment people stopped carrying actual gold and started relying on paper promises, the one controlling the paper held all the power. Because here's a dark little secret about banks. They didn't just sit on your gold, they lent it out. And not just yours, everyone's. That means if you and 10 other people each deposited 10 gold coins, the bank might only keep 2 in the vault. They lent out the rest, making money off of your money. If too many people tried to withdraw their gold at the same time, boom, bank collapse. Sound familiar? It's happened before, and it's gonna happen again. But this was just the beginning, because once governments saw how banks were making money out of thin air, they wanted in on the action. The government power grab, creating money from nothing. At first, paper money was just a receipt for gold. But then governments realized something dangerous. If they controlled the paper, they didn't even need the gold anymore. So they made a bold decision. They cut the tie. Instead of money being backed by gold or silver, it became backed by nothing but a government decree. This is what's called fiat currency. Money has the value just because the government says it does. They print it, you believe it, and suddenly the entire economy is running on nothing but trust. And when that trust breaks, economic collapse, hyperinflation, people wake up one day and realize the money they worked their entire lives for is completely worthless. Sounds crazy, it's already happened. In 1923, in Germany, people were burning paper money because it was cheaper than firewood. In 2008, Zimbabwe, a loaf of bread cost $100 trillion. In modern day, Venezuela, people weigh money instead of counting it. This isn't theory, it's history. And every single time, it happens for the same reason. Money isn't real. The people who control it decide when it's valuable and when it's not. So, the birth of Forex, the ultimate battleground. Now, imagine this. If money isn't real, but its value is constantly changing, what if you could trade those changes? That's exactly the question that gave the birth of Forex, the foreign exchange market. See, once governments started printing money, currencies stopped being stable. Their values fluctuated based on demand, trade, global events. And while most people saw this as chaos, a select few saw it as a gold mine. Banks, hedge funds, and top traders soon realized something huge. If they could predict when a currency would rise or fall, they could profit off the swings. And so, the Forex market was born. A $7.5 trillion a day monster where the biggest players in the world bet against entire countries. Governments manipulate their own currencies to control economics. Hedge funds place billions of dollar bets on the rise and falls of nations. Banks trade against their own customers making money, whether you win or lose. And here's the kicker. The market doesn't sleep. Unlike stocks, which close at 4 p.m., Forex runs 24/5, and every second someone is winning and someone is getting paid. The game you're already a part of. But here's the brutal truth. Whether you know it or not, you're already playing this game. When your paycheck doesn't go as far, that's inflation. Completely fucking you over. When the cost of gas jumps overnight, that's currency manipulation. When the stock market crashes and wipes out people's savings, that's the big players cashing in. This isn't just some finance shit. This is the battlefield where the world's wealth is controlled. And the question is, are you gonna stay blind? Or are you gonna start seeing the moves before they actually happen? Because the people that understand this don't just survive, they make a lot of money. The gold standard, the birth of Forex, is when money lost its soul. Money had one rule. It had to be backed by gold. This was called the gold standard. Every dollar, pound, franc, hell, every piece of paper with a number on it had real value because it was tied to a fixed amount of gold sitting in an actual vault somewhere. It keeps the system honest. You couldn't just print money out of thin air. You had to own the gold first. But power doesn't like limits. And governments, they hate the rules. The moment the world cheated money, then came the 20th century. 2 world wars, economic disasters, and a bunch of countries spending way more than they actually had. And when a government realizes it can just print more money instead of actually making it, it does. World War I, money printer went ballistic. World War II, print more money. The Great Depression, even more. Every crisis became an excuse to print more money than the gold reserves could actually support. And the worst part, no one could stop it. So by the time 1944 rolled around, the global economy was in shambles. Countries needed a way to stabilize trade. So the world's top leaders met in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire, and created a new system. The Bretton Woods Agreement. America makes a power move. At Bretton Woods, they decided the US dollar would be the global reserve currency, the most trusted, the most stable money in the entire world. Every other country's currency would be pegged to the dollar. The dollar in turn would still be backed by gold, so the world could feel safe, knowing that the real value still existed. And just like that, the United States became the financial kingpin of the entire world. Every country needed dollars to trade. Every government had reserves of the US cash. And since the dollar was still backed by gold, everything looked stable. But if history has taught us anything, it's this. When you give people power, they find a way to abuse it. 1971, Nixon breaks the system forever. By the 1960s, something shady was happening. The US was printing way more dollars than it had in gold to actually back it up. Other countries noticed and started saying, yo, we want to exchange our dollars for the actual gold. And what did the US do? Panic. In 1971, President Richard Nixon made a decision that would change the global economy forever. He went on TV and basically said, yeah, so about the gold backing our money. Fuck that, the US dollar is no longer tied to gold. And just like that, money lost its anchor. No longer tied to gold, the US could print as much as it wanted. Other governments, same thing. Currencies stopped being about real value and became about just trust, supply, and then the demand of it. And that was the birth of the modern Forex market. Welcome to the wild, wild west of money. Now, money was no longer a fixed thing, it fluctuated. Some days it was worth more, some days it was worth less. The world had officially entered the era of floating exchange rates. And when the value fluctuates, some people panic, others get rich. Banks, hedge funds, and traders all saw the opportunity. They realized they could buy low, sell high, and profit off the constant movements of all currencies. This wasn't just trading anymore. This was a whole new battlefield. A battlefield where entire economies could be manipulated, where governments could devalue their own currency for more power, where the right people could make billions while the rest of the world struggled. Forex wasn't just a market anymore. It was the new financial war zone. And now, the real game had begun. Chapter 3, the rise of Forex and why it's a huge fucking deal. By the time gold was out of the picture, money had completely changed. It was no longer a fixed, stable thing. It was now a moving target, shifting based on demand, interest rates, economic disasters, political drama, and whatever shit show happened in the world that week. But this was just some minor stuff. It was a complete transformation of global finance. And the biggest power players on the planet saw something that most people completely missed. If money's value is constantly changing, that means money itself can be traded. And that changed everything. Money became a game, and only the smart players win. Picture this, it's early 1970s, the world just lost the gold standard, and now every country's currency is floating, adjusting, and competing in real time. One day, the British pound is worth $2.50. The next month, $1.80. One year, the Japanese yen is stable. The next, it's dropped 20% overnight. For most people, this is confusing as hell. For banks, hedge funds, and traders, it's the biggest financial opportunity in their lives. Because if money's value is always shifting, that means you can buy low, sell high. and turn a profit just from currency fluctuations. And that's exactly what happened. This new chaotic world of floating currencies gave birth to the foreign exchange market, Forex, a financial Wild West where banks, governments, and traders all bet on the rise and fall of entire economies. No stock market, no set closing hours, no central exchange, just money moving 24 hours a day, 5 days a week. $7.5 trillion traded every single day. To put that in perspective, that's more money than the stock market, crypto market, and every other financial market on the earth combined. And here's the crazy part. You don't need to be a banker to play this game. Forex, the only financial market without gatekeepers. Think about every other financial market. Want to trade stocks? You need a brokerage account. Want to buy real estate? You need credit, loans, and a ton of paperwork. Want to invest in startups? You need to be an accredited investor. But Forex, really none of that. Forex is mostly decentralized. No Wall Street gatekeepers, no insane startup costs, no barriers to entry. If you have an internet connection, you can trade currencies from anywhere in the world. And that's why it's the most ruthless, most competitive, and most profitable financial market in existence. Because in this game, there's no safety net. There's no bailouts. There's no insider advantage, no corporate safety net to catch you when you fuck up. It's purely capitalism. The smartest players win and the dumbest ones lose their shirts. And that's exactly why big banks, hedge funds, and even more governments have poured trillions into the space. The players who actually run Forex. Now, just because anyone can trade Forex doesn't mean it's an equal playing field. There are 4 main types of players in the market. And depending on where you stand, you're either running in the game or getting played by it. The big boys. Central banks and governments. These are the true masters of the game. Central banks like the Federal Reserve, the European Central Bank, and the Bank of Japan control entire economies by manipulating interest rates, controlling money supply, and deciding when to devalue their own currency. If a government wants to boost exports, they can lower the value of the currency to make their goods cheaper overseas. If they want to stop inflation, they can hike interest rates and crush spending. These are the guys who pull the strings behind the curtain that make sure the average person never fully understand how this game actually works. Number 2, the institutional powerhouses, banks and hedge funds. If central banks set the stage, then the world's largest commercial banks and hedge funds are the players making the real money. JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Citibank, Barclays. These guys don't just trade Forex. They actually manipulate the whole thing. They have access to real-time market data that retail traders just don't have. They move billions in seconds, shaking the market however they want. And most of the time, they're trading against you. Yeah, that's right. When you place a trade, chances are a bank is on the other side, waiting for you to screw up. 3, the big money movers. Multinational corporations. Massive global companies need Forex to survive. Apple, Amazon, Tesla. These companies don't just sell in one country. They operate everywhere. That means they need to convert billions of dollars into other currencies just to do business. If the euro drops against the dollar suddenly, European sales become worth less to the Apple. If the Chinese yen spikes, Tesla's manufacturing costs go up overnight essentially. The companies trading across borders, Forex isn't just a market, it's a lifeline. Number 4, the underdogs. Individual traders like you and I. The solo traders, the ones sitting at home in our pajamas, like this, trading on our laptops, looking for opportunities that the big players miss out on. Make no mistake, the odds are stacked against us retail traders. Banks have better data, faster execution, and way more money. The market is brutal and unforgiving. You can win big, but you can lose everything just as fast. 90% of traders fail because they don't respect the game. But the 10% who actually make it, the ones who study the market, master risk management, and trade smart, they can make millions. Because unlike stocks, crypto, or real estate, Forex is a constant battle. And if you know how to read the battlefield better than any other guy, you win. So why Forex matters, whether you trade or don't trade. Even if you never place a single trade in your life, Forex still affects you every single day. The price of gas, determined by currency fluctuation. The cost of food, affected by Forex market movements. Inflation, eating away your savings completely. Manipulated by central banks through Forex strategies. This isn't just a market for traders, it's the pulse of the global economy. And right now, while most people have no clue of how it actually works, a select few are using it to build generational wealth. Forex isn't just about buying and selling currencies. It's about understanding how money itself actually moves. And if you understand that, you don't just survive the financial system, you actually can beat it. Because in the end, Forex is a battlefield. And the only question that matters is, are you going to be a casualty Or are you gonna be the one collecting the spoils? Chapter 4, why you should care. Let me make something very fucking clear. I don't care if you trade stocks, crypto, real estate, NFT, or fucking Pokemon cards. If you don't understand Forex, you are financially blind. Because while most people are obsessing over stocks rising and falling, Bitcoin pumping and dumping, and the housing market crashing every decade, if they don't realize one simple fact, currencies control everything. Every paycheck, every price tag, every investment, everything you own is only worth as much as the currency it's measured in. And that changes every single day. The day money stops working. Picture this, you wake up tomorrow morning, check your bank account, and everything seems fine, but then something feels off. Gas is twice as expensive as yesterday. Groceries cost 3 times more than last week. Your landlord just doubled your rent overnight. You panic, open your phone, and see these headlines. US dollar collapses. Global currency crisis begins. That will be the line you see. You rush to the bank, it's flooded with people. Some screaming, some crying, some banging on the locked doors because their accounts are suddenly frozen. Your money, still there, but it's worthless. This isn't a movie plot. This isn't a financial paranoia. This has happened over and over and over again in history. And every single time, the people who knew Forex saw it coming first. Why Forex traders always know first? See, when currencies move, they don't move randomly. They shift because of wars, economic crashes, government policies, inflation spirals. And the people who actually study Forex, they see the signs long before the general public even knows what the is actually happening. When the 2008 financial crash happened, the Forex market was already moving months before the headlines dropped. When Brexit sent the British pound into freefall, Forex traders made millions shorting it while the rest of the country panicked. When inflation hit in 2021 and 2022, Forex traders knew before the news even broke because they saw central banks shifting their currency strategies. If you're in Forex, you don't have to wait for the news. You're ahead of it. And that is financial power. The one market that prints money in any direction. Let's break another bullshit myth people believe. You can only make money when the market goes up. That's dead fucking wrong, at least in Forex. See, when you invest in stocks, you buy a share and hope it goes up. If the market crashes, you're f***ed. If you invest in real estate, you buy property and pray the market doesn't collapse. If housing prices drop, you're f***ed. But Forex doesn't give a shit about the bull or the bear markets or even going sideways. You could trade up, down, or even when the market is stuck in a range. As long as currencies are moving, you can make money. A currency going down isn't a loss, it's an opportunity. If the euro is crashing, traders short it and profit from the collapse. If the yen is surging, traders buy in and ride the wave. If the US dollar is tanking, Forex traders are already in the position to capitalize on that. In Forex, the direction doesn't matter, only movement does. And if you understand that, you are never at the mercy of the market again. Leverage, turning small money into big money. All right, here's where shit gets crazy. In Forex, you don't need to be a millionaire to trade like one because Forex has leverage. What does that mean? It means you can actually trade with more money than you actually have. Here's an example. If you put 100 into a stock, you can only buy $100 worth of shares. But in Forex with leverage, your $100 could control $10,000 worth of currency through a prop firm like Top Tier. This is how small traders turn tiny accounts into massive profits. Of course, leverage is a double-edged sword. It can magnify both your wins and your losses. But the fact that this even exists means that with the right strategy, even someone with a few $100s can trade alongside billion-dollar hedge funds. And in what other financial market can you say that? Why the system wants you to stay ignorant? Let me tell you the hard truth. The financial system isn't built to make you rich. Banks, governments, and hedge funds profit off your ignorance. They want you to stay locked into the system. They want you to work your 9 to 5, dump your paycheck into a 401k, believe in the illusion of financial security, and never question how money actually works. Because if you did, you'd start seeing the system for what it really is, a game. A game where the biggest players are profiting off the moves you don't even know are happening. Forex is where this game plays out in a real time, 24 hours a day, every single week. Play the system or get played by it. You don't have to be a Forex trader. You don't have to wake up at 3 a.m. watching currency charts. But if you don't at least understand how this works, you're just another pawn in the game that's rigged against you. Because Forex isn't just the market. It's a mirror into the global economy. It shows you where the power really is. It reveals who controls the financial world. It gives you the knowledge to protect yourself when the system collapses. And if you're smart, if you learn how to read the signs, follow the money, and see the shifts before the headline drops, you won't just be another person getting screwed by inflation, economic crashes, and currency manipulation. You'll be playing the game like the people who actually win. Because in the end, there are only two types of people in this world: the ones who understand money and make it work for them, and the ones who stay ignorant and get played by the system. Which one are you gonna be? Let's be real. Money was never meant to make you rich. It was meant to keep you chasing it while the real power players move the pieces behind the curtain. For centuries, they've built this system to keep you in line, to make you wake up, work, spend, repeat, without ever questioning who actually controls it all. The gold standard, a relic of the past. The paper in your wallet, a promise that can be broken. The markets you trust, rigged before you even place a bet. And the only place where the game is played in real time, with no safety nets, no limits, and no mercy, Forex. Here's the harsh truth. Whether you trade or not, you're already part of the system. Every dollar you spend, every paycheck you earn, every price that rises while your money buys less and less, it's all happening in the Forex battlefield. Most people, they stay blind. They keep blaming inflation, politicians, and bad luck, never realizing they were never taught the real rules. But you have a choice. You can keep watching from the sidelines, getting played, manipulated, and left behind, or you can step into the field, learn the game, master the moves before they happen. Because the only ones who understand how money really moves, they don't just survive, they take control. And in a world where money rules everything, control is everything. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you got value from this, please hit that subscribe button so I can see you on the next one. Love you guys. Peace.